Are we live? All right. My name's Craig Hamilton Bradley, and this is the God Awful News. Unfortunately, sorry the news is so bad. It's a terrible, no good, very bad day in the news, thanks to these corrupt criminals that are driving this news cycle. So let's start working through it here. 19-year-old citizen still detained. 19-year-old citizen was detained. It's gotten a lot more news since then. More citizens are getting detained in more scenarios. It's really hard to explain how our law enforcement could turn its back on the American citizens, defy their oath, and start scooping people up for using their right to free speech. Of course, I recommend you zoom in on CCOT. Nobody has done that in the news other than Kyle Kalinske or the woman he highlighted. But I still can't believe no one has zoomed in on the CCOT prison and seen the huge blood stain on the ground and what looks like a pile of dead bodies. Last night, drone strikes killed more than 50 people, many of which were children and women, as Israel bombed the food depot, or a food depot, a place where, Palestinians were getting the little food they had. And what's his name? Ben Gavir, this fascist Israeli leader in their military, went to Mar-a-Lago. Aloha. Went to Mar-a-Lago and suggested that the Republicans support bombing food depots and humanitarian aid distribution centers as a way to bring them to heel so that they release the last prisoners. But of course, the people relying on that food aren't the people that have the hostages. It's just cruel. And Netanyahu's on trial for his multiple acts of corruption in the state of Israel. The big question, I guess, is will he ever be held accountable, and will they ever take him out of power? Because I think everyone in the world that isn't a fascist right-wing psycho would like to see that. Couple Pakistani people killed some people in an act of terrorism in India, and India shut down the border and is using it as an excuse to take away rights and impose sanctions. And this isn't very good. They both have nuclear capabilities, nuclear bombs, Pakistan and India, and conflict between the two countries isn't really good. A federal judge has said that Trump and his people have one more week to figure out their defense for not bringing back Gilmar Abrego Garcia, and which is just so sad. It breaks everybody's heart to see, or anybody with a heart or a soul, to see innocent people swept up and imprisoned, which is really what's happening with many people everywhere for First Amendment, using their First Amendment right, the right to free speech, not causing any acts of terrorism, just talking, studying. It's heartbreaking. And the Department of Homeland Security is such a sick organization now. They revealed the address of Kilmar's wife and children, so they can't go home because of psycho right-wing fascist pigs that want to threaten this poor young woman and her family. Republicans are, threaten this woman. So it's just heartbreaking to see all of this. In Florida, there's a new program called the Tidal Wave, where they've deputized local police again, and they're working with the FBI to round up close to 1,000 immigrants that they know where they are, because they've all got apps on their phones that make them trackable, which is why I just ordered Faraday cages, a group of different sized pouches. I see myself putting one pouch inside of another. And what a great thing. I think everyone should have Faraday cages, right? Like, with everyone tracking us in 100 different ways, doesn't that just sound like a little bit of freedom taken back when you take your phone that's tracking everything you say, do, and where you go, you just put it in a bag, and all of a sudden the thing goes offline? I think that's very, at least, when you're not using it, that would be nice to, I don't know, seems like a good idea. But especially if you think they're coming for you, you got to do that. And why would anyone trust immigration anymore, or go to an office when everything is just a lie to try to trap people, like that guy that went into immigration in Vermont. In Vermont, speaking of that, the largest immigration raid in the history of the state. What did they do? They went into a dairy where people are working really hard, right? They're working 40, 50, 60-hour work weeks. And what are they doing? They're providing milk for the community. These are the criminals. We got to sweep off the streets. Oh, Republicans are so evil. And so they just got swept up. They so now the dairy probably can't even function. And then, of course, the Republican governor came out to speak on behalf of the immigrants, saying, we need those people. You're not really doing us any favors by sweeping up these good, hardworking immigrants who are working hard and earning their right to be here every day they go to work. Oh, excuse me. Anyway, it's disheartening and sad. Just like in Florida, the sweep up there, and then in LA and Southern California, they just went to a Home Depot and just arrested 10 people trying to find work at a Home Depot, as they are attacking now also Southeast Asian immigrants. That seems to be a focus of theirs. And so that's what's going on. Protesters in University of Michigan, protesters, again, just people with an opinion, local police and FBI broke down the door. I mean, how's this? They say they're doing a vandalism investigation. So in lieu of that, they needed to go to these people's houses who have an opinion and vandalize their house and break down their door with a giant ram, and arrest and detain perfectly innocent people who have an opinion. First Amendment rights are under attack. And we know this has been ongoing since the beginning, taking protections away from land and water. Nearly half of huge areas in both cases. A huge area where we intelligently decided we shouldn't fish so that fish can have babies, raise their babies, and keep fish supplies around the rest of the Pacific going, right? And so we did not do anyone any favors. We're doing harm to our ecosystems and our planet by now opening up a huge area of fishing that we should leave alone. And that's, I was curious to see what our local, how our local news would cover that, and yeah, it's an abomination, as I suspected. I just needed to hear local fishing experts talk about it, right? Here in Hawaii. And then huge amounts of protected land, public lands in Arizona, Nevada, Utah, New Mexico, Colorado, California, are gonna, Wyoming, Montana, they're gonna be opened up for exploitation from mining companies, gas and oil companies, and in the process, they're taking away what would have been an assessment period, to study the environmental effects and the environment itself before moving in and building a mine or an oil company. They've shortened that from 1 to 2 years for the regulatory process, just 14 weeks. We're just going to bulldoze right over any sort of consideration for the environment, and we're just going to exploit public lands that you and I used to be able to hunt on and fish and camp and enjoy as American citizens. So that's not cool. DoorDash has been ordered to pay $17 million because they stole money from their drivers, and they still haven't paid them back. It's crazy. 60 Minutes, the leader of 60 Minutes quit his job. There's only been 3 in the history of that program, and he quit his job because he's not going to be able to adhere to his right to free speech. Their agenda is going to be compromised and affected by the right-wing fascist authoritarian regime that has taken over our government. So that's sad. 60 Minutes was a good show for a long time. And Trump privately, because he's such a big titty baby, is suing CBS for $20 billion, like a big baby, because he didn't like what they said. Imagine that. Like, oh, I don't like what you said, so I'm going to go after you. God, it's just a child. But in addition to that, the expectation is that CBS will capitulate because they're owned by Paramount, right? And Paramount wants to merge with Skydance. And the only way they're going to get that merger done and get the approval from government is if they capitulate and pay off Trump on this lawsuit that is frivolous on its face. And so that's what's going on there. And interestingly, Larry Ellison, who owns the island of Lanai, his son David Ellison is the CEO of Skydance, the company that's merging with Paramount or wants to. Interesting. Another market manipulation, another get-rich-quick scheme for Trump's allies, and he just took place when he said that the 20 top investors in his meme coin, the top 20 holders of his meme coin, would be invited to Mar-a-Lago, right? Big bribe. And so the value of his meme coin just went skyrocketing, putting tons of money in his pocket. And that is how you cheat the system and you bribe the president. Unbelievable. There's a new case against Harvey Weinstein. And so that's that. He's pretty gross. I've decided, I was thinking about it, and in lieu of the simple fact that as I stand back and look at the whole ecosystem that I follow, YouTube, which is representative of other social media, there is just a pervasive amount of Nazis in little boys' clothing. They disguise themselves, Tim Pools and the Jordan Petersons and the Candace Owens and the Ben Shapinos and the Crowder, Chowder, all these dipshit idiots, these right-wing, just horrible, horrible people that are influencing the minds of our youth that, try to act intellectual and really they're just putting forth this just horrible agenda of misogyny and racism and anti-immigrant, anti-trans, just nonsense, right? So in lieu of that realization, right, and it really does bother me, it frustrates me that when we see this kid that's 17 years old, how is he a Nazi? Who's teaching this 17-year-old to be a Nazi? And then the Nazi kid kills his parents on his way to go try to kill the president. The whole thing makes no sense. But I have to assume it all starts with some really shitty influencing. So, in lieu of that, I've realized, even though I am a reluctant influencer, I am no one's role model per se. However bad a role model I am 100 times better than any of these right-wing psychopaths. There's no good purpose. They serve no good. They do no good, nothing practical, nothing positive, healthy, and they're influencing young people into being everything that they afraid, anxious, angry, hateful, bigots, misogynists. Just the shit that they're Joe Rogan and his dipshit friends. It's just so much of it. So I've decided, while I don't have a very big audience, it should be my goal to officially become an influencer. Since all the influencers are such shitty people, so many of them anyway. Thank God for Midas Touch and this uprising of decent people who are doing God's work. If there is a God, all these nice people who care about democracy and care about human rights, they're rising up. So God bless them. It's a good thing. And I am now officially, I don't know about that. Well, it's time to welcome the role. And this is, oh God, Tim, there's just so much terrible news. So the measles is just spreading like wildfire still. There's 2,000 cases in the U.S. It's everywhere. I think there's even a case in Hawaii. There's 1,000 cases in Canada, 300 in Mexico, which means there's 1,000 in Mexico and 2,000 in Canada. And if there's 2,000 here, there's really like 5,000 here. And good job, Republicans, RFK, spreading disease. Now, this is indicative of other diseases too, so be careful. And if you're out there fooling around, wear a condom. It's too bad you can't put a prophylactic on as you go through the whole world right now with all the disease that the Republicans are spreading. Oh man, Tim Pool, what a weirdo. And he's now in the White House press pool with his beanie on, which is so embarrassing for him, and his shitty clothing, which of course is inappropriate. And it's the Republicans who love to comment about wearing inappropriate clothes, right? Up until, Kid Rock walks in the White House, or Elon Musk, or now Tim Pool, or Kanye. None of them are wearing suits. Anyway, University of Hawaii is in the lawsuit, as I have heard. I didn't read it. I heard it from my instructor, but we've joined the lawsuits where I'm going to school with Harvard against the Trump administration for all the lies. And hopefully it'll be a landmark case that'll get them to stop using anti-Semitism as an excuse, fake anti-Semitism as an excuse to take away people's rights and deport them and lock them up. Because if we allow that to continue, I'm eventually going to be in jail for having an opinion. All right. Stock market. It's generally going to be going down. They're going to gerrymander it however they can. It's going to be a bumpy ride, as they said. Buy sell the rips and buy the dips. Yeah, buy the dips and sell the rips. And Trump's going to keep playing that game with the stock market, giving it rips and dips. I'm not playing any of that. I'm just expecting it to go down. And I'm, for the most part, going to stay out of the mess. And if I'm really lucky, I'll pick the bottom or get sort of close to it. But like we talk about, the two things drive the stock market: news and numbers. And the numbers are starting to come in, and they suck, of course, all of them. Tesla down 71% in sales. And the remaining stuff that kept their balance sheet from being completely in the red was the credits that they sell to other companies that aren't selling enough electric cars. One of those green policies that Republicans hate. Elon Musk is keeping his company afloat with that. But meanwhile, his company's hemorrhaging, and the infrastructure is huge. People in Europe don't want a Tesla. Canadians will never buy a Tesla again, and I think they've got big tariffs now on them, and no one in Mexico will, and other companies are rising, BYD in China, and Rivian, and Lucid, and I think it's just going to be doomed for them. But stock market, I don't trust it for a second. It was up 1,000 points yesterday, finished up like 300 or 400, but just a blip. Still hasn't it's not come back. It's still down, and I think it's still headed down. But they're going to keep trying to gerrymander it back and forth as it heads down until they start subsidizing companies. They're trying to push through tax breaks for the rich and for the corporations, and they were just incensed. Kevin McCarthy was just on this morning. Oh, I couldn't believe they were talking about raising the interest rates or the taxes for the ultra rich. That would have been terrible. Oh, I'm glad we stopped that. And they were talking about like raising them 2% or something, from 37 to 39% or something. Anyway, that's disheartening. Caroline Levitt is an idiot. She lies every day. Everyone knows it. And she implied that they're going to keep going after the Fed. They're children who can't handle the fact that the Fed is independent. And the way she paraphrased everything is, the Fed doesn't. If the Fed wanted to help American people with lower interest rates because people want cheaper money to buy a house, like, it's just such short-sighted, ignorant stuff that she says like that. But it represents Donald Trump, who, by the way, he's backing down. If you haven't heard, I'm sure you have, on China. China is completely is winning this little tit for tat played out on the global market. Trump's finally seeing the news that he's stupid and trying to be less stupid, and they're playing it off. Well, I'm just remaining flexible, is what he's saying. He's playing chess. Everyone else is playing checkers. No. He's an idiot. Everyone sees it. Jeffrey Sachs is, I talked about him. His commentary has been viewed more and more. It seems to be kind of viral because he's, pointing out that he would have failed Donald Trump on the second day of class, that Mickey Mouse would have done a better job as president, and so on. If you haven't seen it, there is one funny guy on YouTube with this bird, Tico and the Man. If you haven't seen it, it makes me laugh and cry at the same time. It's just this little bird and a guy playing guitar, and the bird sings, and that'll make your day a little better. One of those funny things on YouTube is Tico and the Man. Guy playing guitar for his bird who sings. It's hysterical. All right. So Pete Hegseth, another debacle. He does seem... So for those of you who don't understand alcohol from a drinking a lot perspective, if you drink a lot, you start getting angry. And when you're hungover, you're angry, and you get pissed off easy. And that's what we see with Pete Hegseth. he can't keep his anger in because he's an alcoholic. And when you're a drunk, you just get pissed off easy. Everyone thinks he's been drinking that day, or he's probably just still feeling it from the night before. Who knows? There's no way he stopped drinking, right? It's just, yeah. In fact, when he sends out signal messages to his wife and brother, that could be a way for information to be sent to Russia or whoever's paying for information on the inside. It could be. No one's floated that conspiracy theory. But it could also just be him drunk, being stupid. Say, I would have sent this to my wife because I can. Or, she can keep... It makes no sense because they're not even supposed to communicate with Signal in the Department of Defense. It's been revealed, and they're still doing it. It makes no sense. I've heard there is more and more talk about martial law and depression, and the start nuclear catastrophe, which we don't want any of that stuff. But we got a terrible president. What if Republicans could get the courage to impeach this guy and move on to a safer world? So yeah, stock market. I just don't trust it for a second. Every day it's goddamn drama. It's a soap opera. But there's nothing good. I mean, the other thing is like this dairy that's raided. It has 10 employees detained, locked up. So now the dairy's not in business, right? And this is just one business, one company. Maybe it's part of a bigger business. Who knows? Part of more dairies that produce milk, right? Maybe that's all under some sort of corporate, umbrella. At the core of everything going on are people working. And of course now at the same time, it's so spooky. No one wanted to rush AI into our world, like hurry it up so that jobs were displaced. But that's what these assholes are doing. They're trying to just force as much AI into everything as possible, to displace as many workers as fast as possible, like to crush us. One of the many ways they're trying to crush us. And I don't want to see that any more than most normal people would want to see that, unless you're some weird oligarch or you're Tesla and you just want to fill every job with a robot. I don't think robots are cheap enough and to scale yet to do that, but maybe they want to create the imbalance and then say, well, the only way to solve it is with robots. And then the other thing is, when the unemployment rate goes down like it was at 3% when Biden gave it over to Trump, that's when labor has the power to choose what job they do and to ask for more wages. When unemployment goes up, employees lose their bargaining power and they end up having to do whatever they can just to survive. And so that's another negative to going in the direction of higher unemployment, which is of course all this firing and layoffs and then taking people who are doing the work out of their jobs. I just don't see how any of that's going to help our economy grow, help any corporations grow. And then, of course, there's the backlash. This Park Rose permaculture lady, she was just talking about a few companies, but there's that list that I've read of all the companies that supported Project 2025. I haven't heard anybody in the business world speak to that, speak to the companies that people who don't like Adolf Hitler are choosing not to spend their money with in response to the fascist dictator and all the harm and crime, the violent crime they're doing. Just the USAID by itself, in the first year, 3 million people are going to get killed, are being murdered right now, killed by starvation by Trump and his regime. And every year it's going to be 3 million people that Trump murders by neglect through just USAID, just this one avenue. That's going to be 12 million people murdered by Republicans. I mean, the numbers, who's going to end up the worst killer of all time? Like, I think Genghis Khan is the worst murderer of all time, but I think Trump is working on that. He wants to be that guy. And it's really sad and brutal, and that's all just overseas. Then there's the people we're killing here, and it's god awful news, is what it is. And then of course it's getting some attention now. I mentioned it, how he's going after students, right? He's going to force huge payments on the student. May 4th, all student loan people, and I think he wants to, force these people in, maybe make the legislation so if they can't pay them, don't pay them, then they got to get locked up for it, right? One more reason to lock people. And then will that be the solution to the deficit in labor? Will be just slave labor of the people in the detention centers and in the prisons and in the camps that we're building fast and furiously in Louisiana and Texas. And then, we'll just have them do the work, that we're at the dairy, and everywhere else. Is that where these guys, I wonder. I don't trust them very much, to tell you that much. And then that Lil Mark Wayne Mullins, that coward from Oklahoma, he wrote this message about, I'm gonna lay down foul. I'm gonna, like he was talking about some guy who'd been to war, and he's not a veteran, and veterans were laughing at him and calling him out. But also, I mean, the rhetoric is just, it's like Civil War fucking rhetoric. And this guy's a United States Senator. We need someone to move into Oklahoma or move into that next race and take this guy out. And all the Republicans need to be taken out by Democrats or independents. Anybody who's not part of this racist regime. Anyway, all right, moving on. Let's see what else. Joe Rogan, PBD, Bill Maher. What embarrassments, all these people on the right wing. Bill Maher, what an idiot. I'm speechless. Him going and then all the praise. I mean, what a cuck. What a weird word that is. I don't even like saying it. It's kind of new in my vocabulary, I guess. I think I'm using it right, somebody who holds someone else's jockstrap. Bill Maher, oh my God. What a sad disappointment. And he's not funny, ever. And he's god awful. He's just a terrible person. Oh, anyway, I love it because he's so terrible. But he's a comedian that makes a lot of money. So, if he can do it, anybody can. Oh, God, let's see. And then Pete Buttigieg was on Andrew Schultz's show, another not funny, shitty right-wing comedian. They all became right-wing comedians. Like, the only chance you have of being funny is to not be a fascist, dictating pig supporter. Because then all your jokes are about hating some group. If you haven't heard, my mind is scarred from all the open mic comedy that I've had to listen to somebody, show who they really are. Like, oh, you're insecure about women, you hate women, that's why you do those jokes? Okay. Or the immigrant haters, or the ones who, all the racist jokes, the stupid things people say. Anyway, Pete Buttigieg spoke so clearly, and it was great, because if you really want to articulate how bad Trump is, just tell the truth, right? So in his first term, all he did was accomplish two things that he promised to accomplish. Everything else was a lie. And those two things, those horrible two things that he accomplished, that no one needed or wanted, were taking away women's rights to reproductive health care and giving huge tax breaks to the ultra wealthy. Great job, Donald Trump. That's what you achieved in your first. And people thought, he's going to do a great job. Who the hell thought he was good? And then, Kevin McCarthy talking about the fiscal responsibility of the Republicans, and there is none. It's all an obfuscation and a lie, and terrible. And last but not least, coral bleaching. The oceans are warming up, and as they warm up, they're killing our coral reefs that produce some huge amount, like more than 50% of all the oxygen, I think, on Earth comes from our coral reefs. More so, I think, than our rainforests. Anyway, and that's just one aspect of why they're important. There are many aspects. But on that note, if that's true, that is in the news, I'll go out here and do, now I have a purpose, a reason, other than to just show myself out there swimming around, for vanity. I can go out there and take a camera and let's see what we see. Maybe let's see if the coral, what is the condition? How healthy or unhealthy is the coral reef that's right in front of me here? I have God, I don't know, 300-400 yards of coral in different patches and places right in front of me here. So I'll try to get out there and record that. I'm going to start. I'm going to do one, I think, for school, a short episode of the news where I try to go through as much as I can, maybe in 3 minutes. Maybe I'll get a list and start banging it out, and then when I get to the 3-minute mark or whatever, or 4-minute mark, because the assignment is to do 3 minutes. So, and then just quit, cancel it, finish at 3 minutes, and see how many news stories I can get to. Do I don't know what to call it, express, the god-awful express news or something. God-awful news, rapid fire. Hi, Michelle, aloha. So, what else? Oh, and I've got a video I might post. For school, I've been asked to go do something for the community, something good for the community. So I went to that place, the Kanaha Pond, and that little bench area, needed to be cleaner. The ground had some someone spilled soda in a couple places. There was some filth around all the surfaces. So I went in there with some rags and I wiped the floors down and cleaned. Anyway, the Republicans have fired the people who would take care of our natural wildlife refuges, places of refuge. There's a few of them. That's one of them. And so what a great way to do my homework, which was to do something positive proactively in the community. That also fills a newfound need based on the deficits that the Republicans are giving us. And of course, it's in the news again and more. I've mentioned it. These ignorant fool Republicans who claim to be saving us money are spending way more than Biden spent, and they're taking way less in. Meanwhile, they've fired everybody. So now we're spending a lot more to get a lot less, right? We're getting no services. We're firing everyone that helps us, and we're somehow spending more money. Where is all the money going? And there's shenanigans going on. I mean, just incredible shenanigans. Where's that money going out to if we're not paying anybody any salaries? And we've just cut half of the federal workforce that was so bloated. Why are we spending more money? Like this dipshit downstairs, this lady, she says to me, have you heard Elon Musk's found $300 billion in waste that he's saving us? I'm like, do you even know what you're talking about? Do you have any clue? I'm like, what news are you watching? I'm like, you only watch Fox News, right? Do you watch any real news? I mean, where are you getting these lies from? I just can't, I couldn't believe it. Oh, it still pisses me off. These women that thinks it's okay to pick on, like, the trans community is so tiny. They're such a small target, right? And for all these bully Republicans to target them immigrants and soon the press and the educators and the scholars and anyone with an opinion. It is it's hard to watch. It's all about cruelty. It really is. And these are the people. These are the people that claim to have values and morals. Oh man, Mike Walsh said it really good. If you haven't seen this speech of his, he said something about when it's if you only want freedom for yourself, then you just want it as a privilege, right? And not as a right. And in our country, we're supposed to believe in freedom, which really isn't the way it's looking right now with the people in control, the way they're locking people up, taking their freedom away, imposing all sorts of surveillance on us right and left and sideways through our phone, through flock surveillance cameras, and all the other ways. It's crazy. So, but good news in my little tiny world of my life. I'm gonna go today. Hopefully, I'll make it there. There's a meeting with the attorney who's representing the majority of us. One of the attorneys, Jan Oppo, was from the West Side. So hopefully I'll find out what's going on with all that. I'm not sure if I'm gonna get some of this settlement, or if so, how much, or what I have to do. I don't know. That's interesting. And then also I'm gonna go talk with a disaster recovery specialist person who everyone who's in my predicament is getting a case manager to help try to get us into our next housing, if there is a third place to go. First it was like, put them in a hotel, and then it was like, let's find them a place with a kitchen. And then, so I'm here in a place with a kitchen. But they like to get us out, and the owners of all these places would like to get them back into the rental market for the tourists. And so we'll see what happens. I'm gonna meet with this lady again today. It's the second meeting with her. We'll see where that goes. It's nice to have someone working on this stuff for me. So that's that. And then there's a new semester coming up. If you're not in school, may I encourage you to take a class. If you want to be cool, go back to school. It's a good time. I wish my son would go to school, but we'll see. This one professor from last semester says he's going to have a comedy class, which is cool. Him knowing something about comedy, which is cool. He made a movie. He made a comedy movie called Get a Job, Brian Cohen. So I'll be looking for that, signing up for that, and then maybe take one other class or something. We'll see. Anyway, my whole joke went over the best of all. So I did a community college. There was an open mic at community college. There were 4 people there, which just speaks to my point. Like, when you do open mic comedy, you do it for 6 people. Unless you tape it and put it on YouTube, it's like a tree falling in the woods. No one knows it ever happened, right? And so that was just kind of fun. And I had to cut a lot of jokes out because they needed a bigger audience. There was just too few people there. And I wonder what their politics were, right? Because there could be people that like go to church and they're priests and they're pastor, and everyone gets in their head and it makes them think that voting Republican saves babies when it really kills women, right? This pro-life lie that's really pro-death. Because I know one of them goes to church a lot, and then another guy there, he was expressionless, but he was cool. But anyway, this one girl, she laughed pretty hard at my whole joke. So that might be my best joke right now, the one I just thought of, walking by these guys that I made a video about. And now that video has stopped. It's got 1,047 views, right? Yeah, yeah. I had more jokes on the edge of, like I wanted to ask a whole, well, if I'd had a bunch of young people there, right? I wanted to tell them all, which I told my class, hey, because, if they're 18, they might have a mom that's like 40, 45. So I wished I'd had a bigger audience of young people there, students, because in that case, I got, I love this joke, but it's also true. Just tell them, hey, if any of you have a hot single mom looking for an unemployed, homeless, soon to be homeless guy, let him know I'm available. And then, so I wanted to do that. I also wanted to ask them, any of you have a mom? Raise your hand if you have a mom that farts. Anyone here? Have you ever heard your mom fart? Anyway, I wanted to start a joke off with that, but there was, 4 people there, so I couldn't do that one either. A lot of them fell kind of flat because there's just, the tiny little audience, and that's how it goes. And so, but fun nonetheless, and yeah. Oh, the one big thing I forgot to mention is this National Medal of Motherhood. The National Medal of Motherhood. The Republicans, their big concern is that we don't have enough. We need more babies. We need more people. So why would you run immigrants out of your country if you want more people and more babies? They're the best at making babies. They're good at it anyway, and they work real hard, and they support you rich people at the top. But nevertheless, but apparently, what they're really trying to say is they want more white babies. I think is the words that they don't use, that they intend to use, or that they really mean. The Elon Musk and his 14 children. Oh my God, he's gonna end up with like 20 kids. How many of them are gonna do harm to this world? Anyway, so yeah, and with this National Medal of Motherhood, talk about just evil, pure evil, dubiousness. They're going to pay you $5,000 to have a baby, ladies. Now, they're not going to give a shit about health care for you or your kid. They're not going to give a damn about preschool. They're not going to help you with that. They're not going to give a damn about your kid's nutrition. They're not going to help with that. They're pulling the free lunch programs, the Head Start programs. They don't care about your paid family leave. They're not going to make it so you can stay home for a couple months after you have a baby. They're gonna not help you at all, but they're gonna bribe you with $5,000. You can get $5,000, and if you have 6 children or more, they're gonna give you the National Medal of Motherhood. Meanwhile, right? Because they want you women in the kitchen and at home. If you haven't heard Harrison Butker, what's gonna make you ladies really happy is just popping out babies. But imagine the death sentence. That's such a potential death sentence. They want you to have 6 kids, and they want to give you no reproductive health care. So if you have an emergency and you need or get an abortion, you'll have to be imprisoned for that. So they want you to have 6 kids, even if it kills you, with no health care for it. No reproductive health care. And the odds of dying having in one of 6 births without reproductive health care are pretty high. There's going to be a lot of single widowed fathers out there whose wives died having their 5th or 6th kid because of some complications that they couldn't get health care for. I mean, it is just it's the worst set of circumstances for women that I could ever imagine. Anyway, and then I think we're a little bit past valuing women more because they have like an enormous pile of kids. Anyway, I think we could, the simplest, easiest way to encourage kids to be healthy, parents to be healthy, and to eliminate child support and alimony. So we demonetize the objectification of getting married, having children with someone for monetary purposes. Let's take that out of it. If you have kids, let's give everybody like $1,000 a month per kid, up to 3 kids, right? Those kids should all be able to eat. And then as soon as those kids can make decisions on their own, adjacent to that, build public free boarding schools like we have here. Lahaina Luna High School is a public free boarding school. Give kids the option of saying, you know what, if I don't like my parents or they're not serving me well, considering they're being paid $1,000 per kid, right? You can choose to be at school all the time and to bail on your parents and to take the money away from them and direct it towards your school and maybe your future. Like put that into like an account for the kid who's in boarding school all the time, who bails on his family because, yeah, they're taking the money, but maybe they're neglecting you. Maybe they're not taking care of you, right? And so it'd be a great way for kids to be able to save themselves if they're being abused at home. Great way to encourage parents to stay together. Give them the resources to help feed their kids, put clothes on their back, put them through school, all that stuff. That would be, and then just eliminate the whole child support. The only child support you're going to get after divorce is the same $1,000 a month, right? We'll just eliminate all that, and that's my solution. Anyway, okay. Listen, thanks for watching All Good Things and All Good Time. Make it a great day. Do something good in your community, even if it's just saying hi to the lady at the grocery store. Letting her know you care about her today. Little things like that, you know? Maybe pick up one piece of trash that you didn't put down. All right, do no harm, do no crime. Thanks for watching All Good Things and All Good Time, where it's always a good day to be alive. And I'm sorry that the news is so god-awful. Pretty soon, maybe, hopefully, it'll get better. We can only hope. In the meantime, this is therapeutic for me. Hopefully it's therapeutic for you. If nothing else, I'm fighting against all the uninformed, misinformed people out there, which are everywhere I look, which is why I'm doing this. All right. Love you guys. Have a great day. Aloha. Pew, pew, pew. This is the sound effects. The closing sound effects. Ooh, look at that. I'm getting... It's hot. It's hot in Hawaii.